Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Variant Cast and our foray into what a A24 film would look like if Marvel didn't shut up about making an A24 style film, which I don't know how a studio that just makes independent films has a style, but we're here to talk about it and get our thoughts. I'm here as always with Trent. How you doing?
Yep, good. That A24 genre means jumping off the world's tallest building, right?
Mm,
Includes lots
mm.
of fight scenes, lots of IP characters. That's exactly what I think of when I think A24 movies.
When I think of A24 films, I think of what is the villain from Ant-Man and the Wasp doing?
Exactly.
Where is she? And that's like generally my A24 thought process. Whenever I watch every A24 movie, I generally end the film very confused. But this was one of the ones that I didn't, because we did get answers about the villain from Ant-Man and the Wasp, of course, Ghost, and a bunch of other just, I think, D, maybe even F-list heroes put together in a, you can call it Suicide Squad style, Guardians of the Galaxy style team up, where it's really a battle with mental health more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, we got like a really ragtag group of characters here. And I think that I was on record like months ago saying, I just, don't see how this movie is gonna is gonna have a through line. I don't know how this movie is gonna come together, stuff like that. They changed directors, they all this stuff, but came out really loving it. The the themes of, like you said, like mental health and stuff like that was uh not necessarily something brand new that we've seen in Marvel movies, but I think execution wise, I think that this was probably on top with the top tier. Um, but yeah, I found myself really enjoying it, and yeah, the themes that it deals with, I think are really uh relevant in these times, and but also I think that it's something fresh that people can look at in the MCU.
Yeah, it's kind of back to formula in a way, and by formula I don't mean like the MCU formula. I just mean the Marvel putting out a good movie, like a really good movie that just doesn't quite take the step into like amazing cinematic masterpiece. It just like kind of flirts with it, but it's still like a good movie, and like it can be enjoyed on that merit. I there are like I have gripes with it. We'll get into, but all in all, it is a very entertaining. It's a political drama, but it's more of a like just character interaction film, which I think is the core of the MCU, and I think getting back to that is what they need to do. So I appreciate that they've kind of gone back to that well, and I think it is probably the best writing we've seen in the MCU, um, outside of like the shows, which for some reason are generally higher quality than the movies that have been coming out. But like Daredevil, Loki had pretty good writing, and Thunderbolts I think is right on par with that. I think everyone likes to say, "Oh, new Marvel" or Phase 5 or everything under that umbrella sucks, but it is really, there's two schools of kind of MCU projects nowadays, and I think most of them are in the good bucket, and I think this film is definitely there, and it did get me excited for the MCU again, for sure.
Yeah, I think we should just start talking about the movie from the beginning. Uh, Probably deal delve into some spoilers, but Yeah,
I would just say the whole thing probably will just be spoilers from this point on. That's kind of just our brief thoughts there. So if you aren't wanting to be spoiled, go ahead and dip out now, and come back to it after you've seen the film. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we start off with Yelena, like I said, jumping off the world's tallest building. Don't really see the scale of the building too much, but you know, if you pay attention to behind the scenes, you know that Florence Pugh sent an email to Kevin Feige asking him if she could jump off the world's tallest building. So that happens, and then we kind of get to see her follow up from Black Widow with her working for Valentina, doing odd jobs, and then that's when you start to see the kind of struggle that Yelena's dealing with the loss of her sister, and not having her, and not having like an emotional like a support system around her, and then that leads us to her going to a, was it a, I guess before that we get Valentina, and she's like doing some government stuff. She's like my name is super long, all right, everybody deal with it. And the government basically tells her like she's gonna get, I don't know. Is she getting impeached? She's getting kicked
Yeah,
off?
it was the impeachment trial.
Yeah.
They don't really say what her actual title is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think she's the president.
No, she's not, because Ross was the president.
But they were kind of insinuating that Ross was no longer the president after he went all Red Hulk mode.
Yeah.
So I don't know who the president is, but I don't think it's her.
Yeah. Yeah,
I feel like they would have made a bigger deal.
Yeah, I don't think she was the vice president. She's probably Secretary of Defense or something. But
yeah, she's some position that could be impeached.
Yeah, so basically she has to just instantly, right away, just turn around and just like be like, all right, we gotta get all of our illegal stuff out of here. So they go all put it in a warehouse, and then the objective was to send all of the people who she had working for her to this warehouse to then just burn it to the ground. And that's when we get all the Thunderbolts meeting.
Yeah, I kind of wish we almost got the scenes of her telling all of them, but I guess that would have kind of ruined the reveal.
Yeah.
But essentially she sets it up that, you know, Yelena is supposed to kill Ghost. Ghost is supposed to kill a U.S. agent. U.S. agent was supposed to kill, or no, U.S. agent was supposed to kill Yelena.
Taskmaster was supposed to kill U.S. agent.
Yeah.
And then
Ghost was supposed to kill Taskmaster. Yeah. I think she was the only one that succeeded.
Yeah.
Spoilers, obviously. Taskmaster did not. I was curious what Taskmaster was gonna get to do, because not really much of a character in Black Widow. And the answer is nothing.
Yeah.
I think what I'm learning is maybe Taskmaster is just not the best character for movies. I don't know if the skill set of being able to like copy someone 1-to-1 when they want to do like big action set pieces really is going to work.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why that one was the one that got crossed off. I did find something interesting about this selection that they picked. I found it interesting that this is the first like Marvel project to not like have like a black character, really. It very, very white, which is fine. It's just an observation. We don't really get that anymore. And there's also no like CGI character, which is almost a mainstay of these kind of movies, that you got to have Killer Croc or Rocket being the comic relief. But there wasn't any of that, which I think was a welcome change of pace. Everyone is very grounded. They even joke about it sometimes that all they really do is punch and shoot.
Yeah.
That's all this crew really does.
Yeah. That the scene in the elevator when they're all trying to get out, and they're like, okay, who flies? Like somebody's got to fly here. Like those little moments are so good. And then like, yeah, like it doesn't force the comedy into scenes. Like we get like, yes, we get Bucky taking his arm out of the dishwasher, but like that's just like a funny situational thing. Like it didn't feel like a forced like quip. And then like when it was like a one liner, it was Bucky being like, oh yeah, I haven't had a bad past, or stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, all of the humor was very, I guess you could say, mature by what people perceive the typical MCU humor to be. So I think they've definitely taken that criticism to heart, and it's something that they are trying to improve on, because it absolutely does stem from, the very first Iron Man. Like that was how these movies were written, and that kind of writing has aged, and it seems that they are now aging out of that. I thought all of the performances were really good. I think this is the first movie that I'm on, doing variant cast that I'm going to complain was too short. It was 2 hours and 7 minutes, I believe. But I think it easily could have been 2.5 hours. I think if you're going to have this many characters, you kind of need that. Because, we'll get into it later, but some of the characters just really aren't fleshed out. I think the one that is like glaring is Ghost, personally. I think all the other characters kind of have something going on. But Ghost gets pretty much nothing. Doesn't even get like a scene with Bob, because Bob, or Sentry, is also, in that bunker thing with them, and he has the ability to make them like see traumatic things from their past. And we get some early scenes with Yelena and John Walker to kind of show those abilities to set up the final act. But we never get anything with Ghost, which I don't know why I like Ghost so much.
Yeah.
They haven't let her do anything.
That was the first thing I said too when I walked out of the theater. I was like, oh, I wish we would have got a ghost scene out of those, and Red Guardian. But I guess people's explanation online was her backstory was kind of fleshed out in Ant-Man versus the Wasp, or Ant-Man and the Wasp. But like they
I would say John Walker got more time in Falcon and Winter Soldier than she got in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, it's true.
But I mean, maybe they're saving it. She's obviously confirmed to be in the next Avengers film. Wouldn't that be wild if she was just like a main character in like an Avengers film after not really doing anything in now 2 different films?
Yeah.
But there was rumors at one point that she was scrapped. I'm sure they were probably going back and forth on if they should kill her or Taskmaster, but it seemed like they wanted to kill somebody, just to kind of make, the weight of all the, scenes coming having a bit more impact. Like, hey, somebody might die at any point.
Yeah. And that's exactly what they said. And they also said that in an early draft of the script, Taskmaster actually lived throughout like the whole movie, and there was like a subplot between Taskmaster and US Agent where she would like constantly like, or like every so often she would like go back to having the coding of thinking that she had to kill US Agent, and then they would like, she would constantly be trying to like try to kill him, and then he would just have to be like, stop, I'm like, we're fine. But I think that could have been a funny subplot. But I see why they cut it out. It doesn't really it wouldn't really like fit with the overall story, and I guess that was probably along those early drafts where I think US Agent was originally supposed to be like a villain. He was supposed to be like talked into by Valentina to like turn against the team or something like that. But I'm glad that we got the movie that we got, for sure.
Yeah, and Wyatt Russell absolutely killed it. I think he is one of the strongest performances in this. He so like believable in the role. He just I don't know what it is about his portrayal of U.S. agent that he just like feels like racist.
Yeah.
He never like really says it, but just like the way he's just like he just I don't know. He's so good at it. Just being like a little I don't
A little snarky,
just
little bit of a piece of shit. Tiptoeing
yeah,
that
like
line.
I could yeah I could see him just like complaining about like identity politics, you know,
Yeah.
like and just going in on it, and I mean that in the best way possible. He's so like I think that's exactly what they want from that character, and he does it so well, and he makes you root for him at points in this film, and I think he is a much more likable character, and I'm completely cool with him living throughout and presumably being a part of the franchise going forward. I think he's one of the more complex characters that we have in the MCU, just because he is an incredibly flawed individual.
Yeah. Red Guardian, like I could have sworn that like after watching that movie, I was like, he's been in like 4 or 5 different projects. Like I feel like his character has like that much stay, and like David Arbor just is so perfect for that role that it's just like it's hard for me to like not see anybody else other than David Arbor in roles like Hellboy, for example. But like he totally embodies Alexi, and he just totally gets lost in the role for me.
And I mean, we haven't even talked about Lewis Pullman, but he absolutely killed it. I think all the performances in this film are incredibly strong, and Lewis Pullman is kind of the heart of the entire film. Him and Yelena with Florence Pugh, and they both did an incredible job. I loved the interactions between the two. It's kind of like a reluctant, I wouldn't say reluctant friendship, because she was like open to the friendship from the very beginning, but an unlikely friendship of this guy that was presumed dead in a box just kind of popping out and being the person that she needed. Her whole like character arc is about purpose and what makes her feel fulfilled. And then this little dude just pops out of a box and has all these mental issues that she was able to help with, and ultimately save New York City because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that their relationship was really good. And yeah, Lewis Pullman, if we want to talk about that scene, I think I know what scene I'm talking about. The fight scene between all of the Thunderbolts and Sentry, like his whole look during that scene was just like my jaw dropped on the floor when he first walked down the steps, and then like just the whole like direction of the scene and them all fighting, and they're like showcasing their powers against him, and how like they just had no chance. And like there's something about like OP characters that I know a lot of people have like gripes with, like, oh, this character is just like way too powerful. Like how are we even supposed to believe that like they're not going to be the ones that win like every fight that they're in? But yeah, like he just perfectly embodies the role. And then just having like the Sentry is just a great character because of that, like the OP-ness. But you also have to deal with the void and stuff like that. So it's just like just chef's kiss.
Yeah, I think like getting into that scene a little bit, like obviously there's some chase scenes that are fun. We get some really nice like Bucky Barnes action stuff where you get to just see him being like dope Winter Soldier, but I'm also a House representative now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cool evolution for the character. It makes sense for a character that has been on our screen this much that they would grow, but they still would come back to that kind of like, hey, this is what you fell in love with me for kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there absolutely are those scenes with him, like
talking to the
when
press.
they're or just like breaking in, and he just like rams the truck through the doors because he doesn't have any other plan, because that never really was his thing. That was Steve Rogers that would come up with the, different plans, or Tony with the, different things. Like, that wasn't Bucky Barnes. Bucky Barnes just drives a truck through a door. That's what Bucky Barnes does. And I think they've stayed so true to that character while also letting him grow into what he is now. I don't know if I love the... I don't know if he was flirting with the assistant Mel, but like he was just like, yeah, I'm 100 years old or something like that, while she was talking about being in high school.
Yeah, that was weird too. And I was like, what is he getting at here?
But I think there's a difference in terms of like MCU scenes that like there's the MCU scenes, and then there's the normal movie scenes, right? So there's definitely a difference between like how this film deals with that and how other films have dealt with that. Like, I think it does come off a lot more ham-fisted in films like Quantumania and stuff, where they're quite obviously setting things up. This one, it was more like just payoffs, where we were just like frustrated. We've been hearing about like, oh, who bought Avengers Tower for so long. And then when they talked about like the New York location, like, oh, we're going to the other location. And you like kind of think like, oh, is this Avengers Tower? Are they about to go to Avengers Tower? And they do. And then the scene that you were talking about, where they fight Sentry, is in like the same room as the We Have a Hulk scene. So it's like a payoff for the people that, are huge fans and remember that, but it's not like a central part of the story that you need to see Avengers to understand, the room that they're standing in. They're quite obvious with that. I honestly like that they go back to the Battle of New York as much as they do. I think it's like, it was a really big deal, and it makes sense that the world would treat it like a big deal, and that like people would try to profit off of it. There would be like museums for it. Like that's world building to me. It like you can criticize that and say that, oh, they're, they can't stop talking about their good movies or whatever. But it's like, if there was big events that happened in the world, they should have lasting repercussions. And I think we would be criticizing that a lot more if they just never acknowledged these things. So I thought all that stuff was really well integrated with the plot. And it made you feel like you were watching an MCU movie, but you weren't having to, worry about the next movies. It was more just like, what's happening now is what's happening. It doesn't have anything to do. I thought it was really well done. Yeah.
And there was never like a sense of like, oh, why didn't Falcon show up, or why isn't Spider-Man here, or something like that. And yeah, I just loved how everything was just so grounded, and it's like, just the end scene when they're like in the street and like the void is taking over, it just felt that universe felt so like lived in, like I could totally imagine like what if Spider-Man, or what if Peter's just down the street, he gets caught in the void. He's just like all of a sudden has to relive Aunt May dying like over and over again until it ends. Like, I could totally imagine that happening. And
I think you could do some nice setups with that.
Yeah.
Like that could be how the next Spider-Man movie starts, is he like got caught in that void, because he pretty much like encapsulated all of Manhattan.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So if Peter is in that, or Daredevil, if you're doing like a scene there, or just like anyone in New York, you could just have them have one of those like flashbacks. It's pretty cool. It's almost like how they integrated like the snap into a lot of things.
Yeah.
You could do that with this film.
Yeah. With that, when they were walking through the Avengers Tower, and Val was like, she's like, yeah, we got these these Shatari gauntlets that were rescued from first responders, and I was like, oh my god, is that the thing from the the Marvel one shots of from Avengers? It wasn't, but I mean, it felt like, it felt like it was the same. It just felt like it's the same world when I felt like, stuff like Quantum Mania and things like that. Like they don't feel like a live universe, but this definitely did.
Yeah, it felt like the consequences of other things that we've watched actually had an effect on this film.
Yeah.
In not in a ham-fisted way. So I think that's what this movie does really well, and that's like a positive sign for the MCU going forward, is if they can understand that balance. There's excitement around the idea of a cinematic universe again for me.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people at this point are like, they need to reboot it. It feels like homework, blah blah blah. But like, I don't see that. I saw this with my fiance. She hasn't seen every single Marvel project that these people are in, and it didn't take away from her viewing enjoyment at all, not knowing who Ghost was or who Taskmaster was. Like none of that stopped anything, or like where Yelena comes from. It's like, oh, that's Black Widow's sister. I know who Black Widow is. I know that Black Widow died. I know why this character is sad, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It really isn't as much as people like to portray it. Like you need to watch 600 hours of content just to get a joke or something.
Yeah.
And I think that this film really shows that in the best way.
Yeah. And I wanted to know what your thoughts of what the asterisk was going to be like during the movie. Like when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, they're going to definitely say like Thunderbolts, and then just have like the thing that Yelena's sports team was sponsored by. I was like, oh, like they're just going to completely not take themselves seriously, and it's going to be like Thunderbolts sponsored by like whatever that in-universe
one of those
is.
bits.
Yeah. But if before the movie you would have asked me, I would have said it would have been Dark Avengers.
I think I don't know if it was in the Doomsday News video, or it must be in the Doomsday News video. I did call New Avengers.
Okay.
So I did predict it. I think it was fairly not obvious, but like the way they were doing the promos, I talk about it in that video of just like, it felt very much like looking at it now, I think it was the news video, but like it felt very much like this is a Thunderbolt. Like they were doing like pictures and like, this is a Thunderbolt with an asterisk. I was also thinking that you could market this film like on Disney Plus and on DVDs if you added in the New Avengers. I understand not wanting to put that in the theatric title for spoilers and stuff, but yeah, I was thinking it was New Avengers the whole time, but I don't think it was super obvious. I think my hunch was just correct. I don't think it was like super obvious or anything. Yeah. But I think Dark Avengers was possible. Or just like you're saying, it could be a joke. I think they just made too big of a deal about it for it to be a joke.
Yeah.
I did like the Wheaties box stuff. Like how they had that, and then they also had that with the after credits, and we'll get into the after credits in a second, because absolutely the best after credits in a long time. But overall, I did want to circle back to the Sentry costume. I think it looked good. Just Sentry as a character, I think, is super interesting, and the way that they're, working with, like the Void is very accurate to the comics. I thought they were going to kind of hand wave away some of the, Void stuff, maybe put him more in control of it. But they didn't. They didn't shy away from, they didn't necessarily say, like what disorders he has, but I did think it was interesting. I think this is the first Marvel film to mention meth. It's a weird thought, but like when they were talking about how he was on meth, I was like, have they acknowledged the existence of meth in the MCU? I think this might be the first.
Maybe.
So it was a bit darker in that sense. Like I think we got a lot of like darker tones and darker themes, which I think would be my worries with an adaptation like this in the MCU, is that they would kind of water it down and just being like, oh, he's just the Void when he's a little sad. But they didn't shy away from that. It's very much the Void is, his episodes. And I think it's oddly like beautiful the way they did the framing, and it's all just kind of one big analogy for having your friends pull you out of a dark place while they're like physically pulling them out of a dark place. So it's not subtle, but it is really effective and visually like appealing.
Yeah. I thought that there was no shot that they were going to do like that comic book frame of like him laying on the floor with just his eyes and just all black, but that scene was so good. And that like the cinematography on that was so good, and everything that followed that too was just like was just probably one of the best Marvel's movie endings that we've seen in a really long time.
I think this had the makings to be the best Marvel movie. I think the only thing that kind of pulled it down for me is like when you compare it to something like Guardians, I don't think there was quite enough like character development from anyone outside of Yelena. I think Yelena was the only one that really had a full character kind of arc. Everyone else was kind of just side characters. And in that way, you could say it's a Yelena movie. And if you say that, then I guess. But it wasn't marketed that way. It was marketed as the Thunderbolts. This is a team movie. And I think that's what it was trying to be. But I think they didn't want it to be 2.5 hours. They wanted to bring it down to 2 hours. And I think that's a detriment. I think this is going to have a really good director's cut if that cut exists with some more character moments, because from what we've heard, there was absolutely stuff cut from this film, and a lot of stuff changed. And I think this could be a testament of just like, studio interference, directors changing, kind of messy, but if you just have talented people with, some sort of vision, it can turn out good still, even despite the production drama and mishaps.
Yeah. I think that just going back for a second to the naming of the New Avengers, I think that works better than the Dark Avengers, because like now they kind of have a reason that they have to be in the next Avengers movie. Like they just simply have to be, because they're the New Avengers. And if they were like the Dark Avengers, you could say like, oh, like they're not technically, the official team. They're off doing their thing. But like now the Avengers, they have to deal with like this new group, the New Avengers. And I was like seeing people online say that like they're really the only people that know the Fantastic Four like show up. Like they're the only ones that have like that technology, like the ones that have like the resources to know, like that are in contact with the government saying like, oh, something's entering outer space. So like,
yeah, well, if we're getting to that, the last scene is them seeing the Fantastic Four show up. When the Fantastic Four do show up, they're going to be the first ones to greet them. They're going to be like, hey, we're the Avengers. So presumably the Avengers are going to think these are
meeting Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. It's super interesting. And I think it's a fun plot point. It honestly makes me wish that the next Avengers movie was just about that drama.
Yeah.
and between the two Avengers teams. Call it Civil War 2, you know? Like it's super interesting the way the movie ended. You thought that it was going to be with Valentina getting her comeuppance, but she just like pulls them out into like a press conference. I thought that was very almost like slapstick in a way of like the physical comedy of her like just disappearing behind a curtain, and then they're just being, you know, pressed there, and she's like, "These are the new Avengers." I thought there was a lot of good humor in that, and just like some political commentary of like how things are handled and how conflict is handled a lot of the time. I really enjoyed her character, and she is kind of not kind of, she is of this phase, the Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Like she got all the after credit scenes, you know, putting together this team. She put together the team, and then she made them the Avengers.
It's true.
But going more into the after credit scenes, I for the love of all, they finally freaking put the comedy after credit scene first.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand, because I don't care about the comedy one that much. Like most of the time I have to pee, I want to go, I want to leave. I don't want to sit through all the credits. And it normally just pisses me off. But if you put it in the mid credits, then I can laugh at it and be like, okay, now let's wait for the like big plot one. And that's exactly what they did here. And it's what I hope they do going forward. Like, this is how it should be. The joke should be at the mid, and then the reveal at the end.
And also,
but it was
like something that we know that we're getting in the next like 2 years.
Yeah. Finally, we're finally getting what, you know, a glimpse of what this next Avengers film is. So we don't have to just guess.
Yeah.
And that is the Fantastic Four showing up, which means dimensional hijinks are going to ensue, because we obviously know that the Fantastic Four are not in this universe. So what happens to their universe at the end of Fantastic Four? Is it kind of somber? Does their universe get destroyed? Are they trying to save it? So they go to this one. I still have a lot of questions in regards to that, but I think it's pretty exciting just seeing like any bit of the Fantastic Four in a movie that I just watched with, you know, Bucky Barnes and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It was like the last thing I was expecting to show up. I mean, I was like, who the hell spaceship is that? Oh fuck, that's a Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And the theater experience too, like just being in a theater filled with people, with just like people who had no idea that was happening. Like, that's what movies are made for, man.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Just it felt like kind of how I felt when I was 17 or 16, like watching those Marvel movies, and like everybody just being like, "Oh, that's so exciting."
Yeah.
And like the feeling of excitement with a crowd, it really does bring you back to that. And I did not expect that from Thunderbolts at all.
Yeah, definitely not.
But some other just like housekeeping things. I don't understand how Sam Wilson like just copyrights the name Avengers. Like we texted about this after I watched it. It's like, why wouldn't Tony have done that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the government have done that? How did no one do that before?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen Avengers merch in the universe.
Yeah, and Miss Marvel, they go to like conventions and stuff where there's tons of Avengers stuff being sold and marketed. And like the term Avenger is like synonymous with like superhero. It's just wild.
Yeah.
That, like, I want more background on that. Also, like, I want some the conversation between like Bucky and Sam must be wild.
Oh yeah, because Bucky's just Sam's probably just like, what the hell, dude? Like,
but also Sam didn't seem too interested in being like Avengers guy.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden, now that there's another Avengers team, he's like, wait a sec.
Yeah.
You're telling me there's an Avengers team with John Walker on it? No, I got to start my own Avengers team.
Also, John Walker just keeping his folded shield. Love it.
I hope that's just the shield now. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like if it just a different shape to it. Like he can't throw it like a frisbee, which sucks for him, I guess. But he can do different stuff with that shape.
Yeah. Definitely.
But who do we think is on Sam's team? Obviously, there's New Falcon,
Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Hulk.
Yeah.
She-Hulk.
Yeah, we haven't heard a mention of Hulk, She-Hulk, Hulkling at all.
I was trying to think of
since the end of
I was trying to think of the Shang-Chi credit scene, because I feel like that gives us a good indication of who's on that team. And that was Captain Marvel, Hulk, and I thought Sam was there. And then Thor will probably come back too. So who knows?
I did love that line from Bob Century where he says like, "Oh, you said I'm stronger than every Avenger, and then the Avengers have a god on it, so that means I am a god."
Yeah, I mean it's true.
It's sound logic from him, and like you said, the transformation. It's so well done. Yeah. Just going from like, I don't know what it is about the blonde hair. You slick back some blonde hair, and all of a sudden you're Homelander. It's wild.
Yeah. There was concept art of Stephen Ewan, who was originally cast as Sentry in this movie, and they gave him the blonde hair and everything. And as I was watching it, I could definitely hear Invincible's voice, like saying some of the lines, like picture Invincible's voice saying some of the lines. But like after watching it, Lewis Pullman, nobody else could be Sentry. And Bob, I think is one of my top 5 like MCU characters already.
100%. He's complex, ridiculously powerful. Like you said, I love the scenes of just him all black with the eyes. Like those were so chilling, and just like they sold him being unstoppable so well. Like there's no way we could stop this man. The only thing is therapy. That's our only shot.
Yeah. And yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what they do with this character from now on, other than just have him sitting around reading books.
I mean, you gotta assume he's gonna be like the Deus Ex Machina of something.
Yeah.
Where like they're losing and Sentry's gotta come out and do the job just once, and save the day. I could see him taking down like it'd be cool if they're definitely gonna do something like that they're gonna have Battle World, and then Battle World's gonna be there, and Galactus is gonna come on Battle World, and he's gonna like solo a Galactus variant or something, and it's gonna be sick.
Hell yeah. Can't wait.
I'm with that. But overall, I think that this movie is refreshing. It's one of the best MCU movies in a long time, and even beyond the quality of the film, it did more for me in just like, hey, the MCU can still work. The MCU as a product and as a universe and continuity absolutely can continue if it is done with this quality. I think it could have been longer, more fleshed out characters that stop it from being a truly spectacular film. But I don't think any scene was wasted that they did put in there. I think everything was needed. Just needed a bit more time, in my opinion. But it was really well done. I would say 7.5 out of 10 range. Real B+ movie. Very enjoyable.
Yeah, me too. I totally agree with that. I give it a solid B+ as well.
And if you would like to hear our thoughts on the upcoming MCU, or any news that drops, we'll probably be covering, or just our thoughts on movies in general. There's tons and tons of backlog that you can go through to get our takes. I correctly predicted not only the new Avengers title, but also the first steps, being Franklin Richard pregnancy subplot. That I also was on that. So, we're ahead of some stuff. Our upload schedule can be sporadic, but if you liked anything that we said, or just want to tell us how wrong we are in the comments, please feel free to do so. We just do this for fun, to catch up, to get each other's thoughts on the movies, but love to hear yours as well.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone for listening. Let us know in the comments what other MCU characters should have been on Thunderbolts.
Yeah, I look forward to those, and I'll think of my own. We'll talk about that next time. We'll maybe put together some theoretical teams that should exist, films that we would watch. But other than that, thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.